Of course, one of the bugbears of serious psychic research is that it's so difficult to obtain evidence. You know, evidence is something that you can record, some sound or something, or photographs. Photographic evidence is very good indeed. In fact, one of the cries of the skeptical brigade is that, oh, you never have any evidence for us and so on. Well, this is, of course, these days isn't true at all. We have lots of evidence. Poltergeist activity has been caught on film. The German police some years ago caught photographs on walls going round and round at the famous haunting in Rosenheim in Bavaria. There are lots of evidence. Well, I can tell you that we ourselves caught a poltergeist on film. Well, even that isn't quite true. It was a Dutch television team that I was filming with at the time. They'd come over from Holland to do some serious research. They're not a sensationalist group, you know, they do documentaries. Livingstone Productions, they're called. And although we had our own team, you know, the four of us there, and then myself, and Janice, who's a microbiologist, Andy's an engineer, and Rodney's a physicist. And Andrew was there. Andrew was there with his own camera. We went to a house that we'd heard lots of stories about. The people rang us up to say, what do you think about this? And we went to see them. It's a house, a very nice country house near the village of Laceby in Lincolnshire. Yeah. And the extraordinary thing was that the lady had seen an apparition sitting on the end of her bed in the early hours of one morning. You can imagine her surprise when she woke up. Lo and behold, in the dim light of the bedroom, there was a woman sitting on the end of her bed. Not only that, the apparition spoke to her. Believe it or believe it not, she seemed to hear in her head, was it a form of telepathy? Telepathy being mental radio. And it said, my name's Emily Jordan, I come from Lancashire. That's what she said. Later on, it turned out there had been an Emily Jordan living in the house 100 years ago. But nevertheless, we went upstairs, it was a 3-story house, beautiful bedroom, and I was pointing out to the cameramen and the presenters of the Dutch television team, I said, this is the bed. Sitting on the end of the bed. Did you see, decided to stop there?
We never have that usually, do we?
Now, wait a minute.
It's such a strong manner.
Have you just seen this, everybody?
It's big again.
Yeah.
And more than that.
There it is, and here it stops.
Yeah, but that, I thought this bed was made. I turned my back. It was rather like special effects, you know, something from Ghostbusters or something like that, jolly good film. But we didn't make a special effect. This performed for us on its own in the middle of the afternoon. So that was very interesting. Later on, apparitions were seen in the house and we learnt more about it. So it seems that the ghosts march on. One day we'll understand more about it, but there's so many stories. It's extraordinary. You know, of all the strange hauntings, and we have many weird and wonderful stories to tell, I think probably could consider that one of the oddest concerns the haunting of a shoe shop in Grimsby. Of all bizarre, prosaic places to be haunted. However, they have the curious distinction of possessing a ghost with a foot fetish. Now, I actually mentioned this particular story when I was on the Clive Anderson Talks Back show. And he said, a ghost with a foot fetish, that's all you need. I said, well, it seems to be, seems that it's the ghost of an old fisherman. There were fishermen's cottages there, you know, in Grimsby. At one time, of course, there's a famous fishing port. So Clive said to me, he said, oh, did you have a friend with him, a fisherman's friend? So, of course, it was all very funny, but they really had this curious phenomenon of having a ghost that seemed to like feet. When people were trying on shoes, this ghost would come along and people would say, do you know, I have a distinct impression that somebody's tickling my foot. There was nobody there. And then, more than once, all of a sudden, a row of shoes would precipitate themselves off a shelf and fall onto the floor. This was seen by staff, by customers, and by the manageress herself. Very nice lady, who wasn't put out by the ghost, except, of course, it meant there was extra work to do cleaning things up after it. Well, the shop, a new shop, is built on an old site. And it seems that more often than not, it's the sites themselves that are haunted, rather than the building. I mean, when we're talking about haunted buildings, as we have been doing, it's not just stately homes that are haunted. You can have a brand new house, private or a council house. They can all be haunted. Though I think you've got more chance of an old building being haunted. It seems that, the very surroundings have a sort of memory. In fact, there's a theory called the stone tape theory of memory. And it's a very constructive theory that says that things record things like a disc does, like a cassette radio. We just need to get the memory out. From time to time, people who are sensitive to these things see or hear phenomena which we call paranormal. Well, thanks very much for watching, and see you again soon.